Let's say you had a good Saturday night, full books, solid sales, and no disasters. But here's what the POS won't tell you. Most of the people that walked in for the very first time are never going to come back, but because of 4 quiet problems in your operation that you probably aren't even tracking. Over the last few years working with bars, restaurants, hotels, I've started to see a lot of the same patterns. But a really common one is that owners think that they have a marketing problem. What they really have is something that's more like a bucket problem. Kind of like filling a bucket of water that has a bunch of holes in the bottom. So in this video, I'm giving you 4 real reasons customers stop coming back. I'm not just going to give you a list. I'm going to show you the math of what a lost regular actually costs you. I'm also going to give you a manager's audit that you can run tonight, and I'm going to give you a guest recovery tool that will save a unhappy guest from walking out the door forever. If you work in hospitality and you feel like you're always hustling for new faces, then this is for you. Before we get to the 4 reasons, I need you to understand why this matters. Most operators look at a table and just look at the table average. If table 4 spent $80 and they never come back, I lost $80. Wrong. You need to stop looking at check average and you need to start looking at lifetime value, or what we're going to call for the rest of this video, LTV. Let's do the math on one regular. Let's say your average guest spends $50 per visit. A true regular comes in maybe twice a month, let's say. So we're going to call that $100 a month. Over a year, that is $1,200 in revenue. Over a 5-year run, which is honestly a pretty solid run for a neighborhood regular, that guest is worth $6,000 to your business. Now let's look at the flip side. To get a new customer through the door using Instagram ads, ER, comps, discounts, whatever it might be, it's probably going to cost you somewhere between $20 and $50 in a customer acquisition cost, or something called CAC. So when you let a guest walk out because of cold fries or a rude host, you're not just losing $50. You burned $6,000 of future revenue and $50 on a stranger who might not even like your food. This is why retention is not just a buzzword. It's the only way to actually survive in this industry. Now that we know the stakes, let's get into the first reason that guests will ghost you: inconsistency. And I don't mean having one bad night where the dishwasher breaks. Guests will forgive disasters, but they won't forgive unpredictability. There was a mid-scale Italian restaurant that I knew. The first year they were packed wall to wall every single night. Guests loved their signature boar ragu. It was heavy, it was garlicky, it was a great, perfect dish. But in year 2, turnover hit. 1 week, the pasta was perfect. 2 weeks later, you get a new line cook, and he's using half the garlic. A month later, the portion size of that same pasta shrunk by 20%. They paid their bill, they thought to themselves, just wasn't as good as I remember. And then they left, and they're never gonna come back for that. Consistency creates trust. Inconsistency creates anxiety, and nobody wants to go somewhere and spend money where they feel anxious. So how do you actually fix inconsistency? Well, yelling, "Be consistent" at your staff is never gonna work. You need a system. Something like a pre-rush audit. If you are a manager or owner, you need to walk the floor at 5 p.m. or right before your restaurant opens and check these 5 things physically every single day. That's non-negotiable. Number 1, the entryway energy check. Walk through your own front door. How does it smell? Does it smell like old dirty mop water? Is the host stand cluttered with personal items like Starbucks cups, water bottles, phone chargers? First 10 seconds tell the guest whether or not you have your act together. If the front entrance is messy, the kitchen is messy. Number 2, lighting and sound level. Do not leave this to chance. I recommend marking a dimmer switch in your restaurant, something that says like day, afternoon, night, whatever your service hours might be, so you have consistent settings for each of your services. If the lights are bright and fluorescent at 8 p.m., you really just look like a Denny's, or as my boss says, like a DMV. If the music is so loud at 6 p.m. that grandma can't hear, you lose the table. Consistent ambiance is just as important as consistent food. Number 4, the bathroom truth. I judge every restaurant by the bathrooms. If the soap dispenser is broken and there are paper towels on the floor, it tells me that you don't really care about details. Assign a bathroom check to a busser or support staff member every 30 minutes and hold them accountable to that. Number 5, the pass calibration. Before service starts, look at the pass. Check the garnishes. Are the plates hot? Are the garnishes fresh and ready to go? That expo window and that pass is the last line of defense. If you let a wilted garnish go out at 5:15 or food go out on a cold plate, you're telling the kitchen that mediocrity is okay and accepted. My view has always been that if you are okay with mediocrity, then you're just never gonna work for me. Reason number 2, the meh factor. Even if you pass the audit, you might still lose guests because of reason number 2. You are forgettable. A lot of restaurants lose guests not necessarily because they did anything wrong, but because they didn't do anything to make them remember them as an establishment where they're going to get good service and good food. Being fine is the most expensive position you can be in. I worked with a bistro that had solid reviews, no complaints, but no regulars. I asked neighbors about it and people in my area and surrounding businesses, and a lot of them said, oh yeah, I've been there once, but they had no signature dish, no standout service moment, no real hook to bring people in over and over and over again. Now, this isn't the only fix to something like that, but you can use something called the one sentence rule. If a guest describes your restaurant to a friend, what is the one sentence that they are going to say? Is it that they have the best burger in the city? Maybe they have a bartender that makes custom cocktails. They give you free warm cookies at the end. I don't know. If you don't know what your sentence is, your guests definitely don't know. Find one signature element and double down on it until you're famous for it. Reason 3, botched service recovery. Third reason guests leave is how you handle screw-ups. Every restaurant makes mistakes. Steaks get overcooked, drinks get forgotten. Sometimes you hire somebody that makes your life a little bit harder because their guest service isn't up to the standard that you're looking for. That doesn't kill you. What kills you is apathy. Most servers are pretty terrified of conflict, I've found. So when something comes up, a lot of them will just say, oh, sorry, let me fix that, and they'll snatch the plate up and run away. That's not necessarily a resolution as so much as it is avoidance. Yes, it is fixing the problem, but maybe not in a way that makes the guests feel heard and understood. I don't use this exact acronym with my staff, but it is a really good starting place, especially for independent restaurants that are trying to establish a culture of guest-first hospitality and how to listen and hear guests and de-escalate and have people keep coming back over and over. It's called the HEART acronym. First letter is H. Listen to them. Let them vent. Don't just stand there like a brick wall. And especially, don't interrupt. E. Empathize. Validate their feelings. Say something like, I would totally be frustrated too. A. Apologize. A real one, not a fake one. R. Resolve. Fix it fast. Sometimes the resolution is as easy as refiring the dish. Sometimes you have to comp it off, but sometimes you have to invite the guest back for a full dinner on you. I highly suggest this one when a guest leaves and then ends up telling you about how their experience was off-putting or wrong in an email or a phone call later. Definitely invite that guest back. Make sure that they receive the experience that they deserve as a patron of your restaurant. T, thank them. And I actually mean that. Thank them for bringing it up. When guests don't raise concerns to you, you don't necessarily see all of the little issues that the guest might be receiving. There are two sides to every coin. Honestly, this is a subject that I could go on and on and on about for a really long time, so I'll probably just make an entire video about this in the future. Reason number 4 is the silent killer. Price creep without value. Guests know that inflation is real, and they don't mind paying for more, but they hate paying for less. Here's the trap. You raise prices to cover the cost of rising food costs, but you need to save on labor, so maybe you cut a buster on some of your nights. Maybe you're also switching to cheaper napkins. On P&L, you feel safe, but the guest is thinking, wait, this pasta is $28 now, and I have to flag someone down just to get my water refilled? It's a value teeter-totter. If the prices go up, the perceived value must also go up. If you raise the price of the steak by $5, put a better garnish on it, or maybe even just plate it more thoughtfully. Maybe upgrade the steak knife, or have the manager drop off the dish personally. If the guest can feel the upgrade, they won't mind paying a little bit more. If all they feel is the bill, they're gonna walk out the door and never come back. Okay, we covered a lot of ground today. And hopefully the tools that I'm gonna list out here in just a minute are gonna give you a few things that you can work on in your restaurant to start making your way to being more successful and being more profitable. We covered the math. A true regular is worth a lot of money. Fight for them. Inconsistency. Run that 5-point audit before every single shift. Forgettable. Find your one sentence. Find your identity. And value. Don't raise prices without raising the perception of the experience. If you're watching this and feeling overwhelmed, just pick one. Start with the pre-shift audit. Start tonight. Walk the floor. Check your entryway. Check your bathrooms. Look at your lighting. Look at your music. Check wobbly tables. If you got a wobbly table, fix it. And I mean actually fix it with like a wobble wedge or actually fixing the table, not shoving a napkin or a piece of cardboard that makes you look cheap. Pre-shift audit is probably the easiest one you can start with. 86 This is all about cutting the bad habits that hold your business back. If you want the PDF checklist for the manager's audit or are interested in talking to me personally about auditing your business, there are links in the description below. Subscribe, hit the bell, and go fix your restaurant. I'm Nick, and I'll see you at the pass.
Bye.